Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm Rusty Nelson, and I am on my way from Pennsylvania down to Florida.
Police reported ahead.
And police reported ahead down to the villages. And I figured I'd go ahead and answer a few of the questions and comments type stuff down below. Since I haven't done that for a while, let's go ahead and get started. It's kind of getting close to the 4th of July. I'm going to go back down to the villages for a little bit. And you might say I'm escaping the heat from up north and going down to Florida. It's actually going to be a little bit cooler down there. And I'll be happy to get out of the heat up in the north. But I just I'm not going to get these questions quite right, but I'll be close because I kind of memorized them when I stopped off at different stops and stuff like that. But the first question...
Left lane blocked ahead.
As you can hear, I use Waze on my way down. And today I'm making the trip all in one trip. A lot of times I stop partway down. And it takes about 14 hours of driving and about 16 hours by the time I get done my trip, my stops at Buc-ee's. But one of the viewers wrote, and I won't get the verbiage right from these completely because I'm kind of doing it from memory. But one of the viewers wrote, had I ever considered taking the auto train? And the funny part about it is, literally while I was planning this trip out, this message pops up. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm only going down for about 10 days down to Florida, and then I'm going to turn around and come back up for the 4th of July to go to Longwood Gardens. That should be a lot of fun to see the fireworks and stuff up there. Maybe I'll post some pictures if you guys like to see those, some video, because it's really cool. Anyway, and I thought if I can get a ticket, it's kind of at a late date, that I would do the auto train, take it from just outside of Orlando, takes me up to Virginia, and I will be doing a video on that. So perfect timing for that question. And hopefully I can get a ticket. It's a little late. I'll probably have to pay a little extra for it, but we shall see. Anyway, that's the answer to that one. On to the next question. Yeah, this one, if I can remember correctly, came from a person by the name of Ginny, and it was regarding a video that I had done on the chinch bugs and what I was doing to my lawn. Now, let me say, this is like going through June into July. This is a really big time for the chinch bug. And this is when it gets started. I did a video on this. I'll put the link, little bar above, and I'll put a link down below. So after you watch this, you can go do it. And I think it's so important. Maybe I'll even put it at the very end, so it's one that you can click on. But for those who don't know it, the chinch bug...
Object on road ahead.
Okay, watching for the object. For those of you who don't know it, in St. Augustine, in these warm weather grasses, there's a bug called a chinch bug, and it kind of starts feeding around July. Now, I don't want to go through the whole thing here, but it's really important that you keep up with this, because they can literally, you could go away for 3 weeks or go away as a snowbird, come back, and your lawn's completely gone. And I believe she wrote in there that, you know, she has one of the prepaid services, which means, and some of them are good, but here's my thing about prepaid service. I had Massey, I had to get rid of them, and I'll tell you why. Simply because they would come in, and I have a smaller yard, they come in with the giant lawnmowers and cut the heck out of the lawn, put big ruts in, they hit my fence, they hit my wall, and the fact that they weren't using a small mower just made it almost impossible to deal with. And it just wasn't a very good job, and it wasn't conducive to that. So I had to change that out. Anyway, I even started getting some spots on there. So I did some things that, if you take a look at that video, that negated pretty much most of the chinch bugs. Now, the thing is, if you have a prepaid service, I highly suggest you just don't sit back and wait. You're paying them good money each month. And if you see some kind of problem with their lawn, your lawn, call them up, tell them to get their butts over there and point out exactly what's going on, because they're not going to keep up with your lawn. They get these guys come in and they just come along, they cut the lawn and they move right on to the next one. So Ginny, what I would do, I would definitely, whoever your prepaid service is, call them up, say, look at these problems. What are you going to do about it? This is what I pay you for. You really shouldn't have to be doing that yourself. And I know that they will come out and they will do extra service to take care of that stuff. And if it's in your contract, you shouldn't have to pay them anymore. So that is my suggestion. Watch that video, take a look at it, and then call the prepaid service and have them come out and look at it and say, hey, this is what the problem with the lawn is. Now, with that said, just because you see a brown spot, that does not mean that it's a chinch bug thing. You could have a fungus, possibly, you could be overwatering actually. You could have brown spots from underwatering. If you take your, if you go out with sunglasses and you look at your lawn with sunglasses on, polarized glasses, you'll see where it gets very dark green, like dark looking green spots. Go over and look at that blade of grass. And if it's curved, instead of laying flat like that, if it's curved in on itself like this, like kind of like a tube, that means that that part of the lawn's not getting enough water. So when you get blades of grass that are curved in like that, tube-like, that means they're not getting enough water. So you may need to water that section more or have somebody come take a look at your sprinklers. Anyway, that's it. Watch the video. I'll put the link down below, and also get on your prepaid service. That's what they're there for. Yeah. This is the next question, but I'll just say it again. It is so important that you keep up with your lawn on those things. Anyway, this next person writes, and like I said, I'm doing these from memory, that if it wasn't too personal, could I answer why I keep two places? I am, and I did a video on becoming a resident of Florida. I highly suggest you watch that, because there are some tricky things. I'll put that link down below too. There are some tricky things that you need to do to declare yourself as a resident of Florida. For instance, a declaration of domicile. It's one thing you need to do. Now, not that you're not going to be a resident, but the thing is when, say, Pennsylvania comes back at me and says, "Hey, you're not really a resident of Florida," and you can say, "Oh yeah, look right here, I did this. I filed my voting and I did my declaration and my address changed. So sorry, Pennsylvania, I don't owe you any taxes." And that was it. So I did a video on that. But the question basically again was, how come I have two places? My family and everything is up in Pennsylvania, and I got a apartment up there, and I thought, man, this is a really nice apartment. And I love my family, love my cousins and everything. I love going up and visiting. Also, I have a girlfriend up there too that I love going up to see. And so the whole thing, I love the area. I love Pennsylvania. Now, my heart's in Florida now. That's where I'm most of the year. That's where I live. That's where I'm registered. That's where I vote. I love DeSantis. And in a selfish kind of way, I'm glad he didn't go any further as far as president yet. Probably wasn't ready for it, but I don't do political on here. So anyway, that's it. Basically, just have two places for those reasons. I'm lucky enough I can afford to have the apartment up north and the house down here in Florida, which I own. I don't own the apartment. I just rent it up there. In fact, to tell you the truth, as far as the rent versus mortgage, the apartment probably cost me just as much as the darn house does now that I'm looking at it. But anyway, that's it. And they're never too personal to ask them. I'll answer them the best I can without getting myself in any trouble. On to the next question. This is kind of off subject from the villages, And Amanda wrote, I think she said that she loved the videos, so thank you, Amanda. I appreciate it. Her and her mom watch them all the time. So hi, Mom, how you doing? Hi, Mama Amanda. And asked where I learned that she liked my editing and where I learned to edit. Without going into it too long, after I got out of the Air Force, I had a company for a while. I bought, rebuilt that, and I sold that company. And then I decided that I was going to go down to Hollywood and make a movie. And I know my life's been all over the place, but that's what I decided to do. And to do that, I literally started taking acting lessons, started studying film on my own. I actually went down to the American Film Institute down in LA and went to go to apply down there. But for various reasons, they said they'd actually take me, but I can't come find out I was a little too old at the time. But with that said, I taught myself to edit. And I went and I worked with other film people, film students, editors, that type of thing. And I would go volunteer to work on movies. In fact, I worked on a few Hallmark movies and stuff. And afterward, I would go visit with the editors and ask them a bunch of questions. And I made a bunch of short films on my own that made the rounds in the film festivals and that type of thing.
Anybody here? We're closing now.
And that's kind of where I learned. I mean, I literally studied books, I studied film, studied writing scripts, that type of stuff. And then I was lucky enough when I was down in LA, I'd ask some of the editors if they'd come over to my house and ask me, show me what I was doing wrong or how they thought I could make things better. And that's kind of how I edited. Now, with that said, with these, when I do these, I don't have anywhere near the time to make them really clean, but I try to, if you know anything about editing, I'll try to build in L cuts and that type of stuff when I'm doing things. And I actually got a job directing for Fox Sportsnet for a show, very short time for Sportsnet before it got canceled, not because of me. And I took a one-camera show and kind of redesigned it a little bit so that it made it look like it was a multi-camera type thing. And actually, Wee Man from Jackass was on there, and I learned a lot from editing because I went back into the editing booth with the guys afterwards and saw how they edited a TV show. Anyway, that's it. Also, let me know, because I actually thought about doing this. A couple of people said, hey, could you put up a couple of your old short films? And I thought it might be really funny to see whether I could go dig and find my first one or two short films, are usually around under 10 minutes long, and put them on here. If anybody wouldn't unsubscribe from me from watching it, it'd be kind of fun to do, a way to get it back out there. Anywho, that's it. That's how I learned. I was self-taught in editing, and I think that's why I like doing these videos, because it kind of keeps those juices flowing, and I really have a lot of fun doing it. This is, like I've said before, this is not a money thing for me. I just have fun doing it. I love going back and editing. It's kind of fun to make something out of nothing. I mean, basically, you have a camera, there's nothing there. You put something together, and I edit it as I go along. Anyway, thanks a lot for asking that question, and thanks a lot for watching Amanda and Mom. On to the next one. Here's one from Brad Wheeler from the Air Force. And he wrote Rusty that he's a huge fan. I was just wondering if you could make a video about your old flying days in the Air Force. And he said he's been in off and on, I think, since 1990, and he's going to retire in a couple of years. Well, first off, Brad, let me say thank you very much for serving, and thank you for your service. I really appreciate it. And I didn't stay in 20 years, so I didn't retire from the Air Force. But really quick, my career basically was I went in as a pilot, and I went to undergraduate flight school, Del Rio, Texas, and then I got a B-52 to Wurtsmith Air Force Base in Michigan, and then I upgraded to aircraft commander there in Stanival, and I was asked to go fly the B-1 bomber, and I kind of declined that. And I actually applied to go fly the SR-71, went out to Beale Air Force Base for my interview with them. That was met the commander and everything out there, and then was told to go back to my base, fill out the rest of my application, and it sounded like I was going out to fly the SR-71. And as luck would have it, or unluck would have it, they actually canceled the program after my interview. And a few months later, I got a call from the U-2 guys, the U-2 spy plane, if you're familiar with that. And maybe I'll throw a couple of pictures in here while we're doing this. And I got accepted to that program. That was really interesting. That was a week-long, maybe it was even 2 weeks long, the interview. We actually had to go fly the airplane, meet all the people. And then the early out program came along, and I got out, decided to get out early. And that's the basics of it. Not too much. I think maybe I did put a couple of pictures in here or something like that. Maybe I'll throw some old, now that we're talking about that old short film and that kind of thing, maybe I'll throw some old film stuff and video stuff if anybody thinks they want to see that. As long as nobody unsubscribes, because it's not about the villages, but it'd be kind of cool to resurrect some of that old stuff from the 80s and 90s, and I'll see whether I can find some of it. Anyway, thanks a lot, Brad, for serving. Really appreciate it, and good luck in your retirement in a couple of years. Be interested if you're right back. Let me know what you're doing in the Air Force. And I guess we're flying on to the next one. You see the way that works? Get it? Okay, get down to the last couple because I'm running out of daylight into the car. In the car. So Boom, I think it said Boom or Doom. I'll look down at it really quick. Boom, D-O-K. Not sure what that is, but he is also a huge Eagle fan, and I don't blame him. This year is going to be really interesting. And he wrote, and this could have to do with a lot of people, explain something about in the villages, and that is, do you ever go over to somebody's house to watch the Eagles games? And actually, I have not. Each year, and this year I'm going to do this. Thanks a lot for saying that, because this year I'm going to do this. I know there's a lot of clubs, because you figure you got 150,000 people in the villages, and there are all these city clubs, like Bob and Liz, that I do the restaurant reviews with. They actually, I think, belong to the St. Louis club or something like that. They they've been to baseball games and that kind of stuff. So I think this year, he also asked, this person asked in the comments, do I ever go to any of the games when they're come to Jackson, Miami, and Tampa? And I haven't, but I'm starting to think it'd be a lot of fun this year, because I'll tell you what, if you're an Eagles fan this year, this is going to be a big change this year, and who knows where this is going to go. It could be really interesting. But anyway, thank you so much, because I'll tell you what, there are team clubs all over the place. So if anybody knows, put it down in the comments where, if there's any bars or anything out there that are Eagles bars, and I am mostly going to show up, or if you have Eagles parties at your house, I'll try to bring some scrapple and or Taylor's pork roll. And yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. That could be a lot of fun this year. Let's do one more question. Let's try one more. Ah, boy, I hate to get into this one. My carnivore diet. I know there's a lot of people that had followed that, and I'll tell you what, I fell off the wagon for a while with that, and I'm actually on my way down to Florida to kickstart that again, go back to see Dr. Sivis, and I had a bunch of personal things happen, and I'll get into a whole video on this once I get settled on it, I promise. And I actually lost, I lost up to just about 40 pounds, I think. I lost 40 pounds, which is a lot on me, considering I started out at 221 and went down to 179. So that's actually a little more than that. And had a lot of people, and let's see, who wrote this? Colleen Kenny. Well, thanks a lot for writing the question. And there's a bunch of you I've actually been saving the questions to update them. And I kind of fell off the wagon, and I gained half of that back. And I had some medical things going on that I wasn't sure of, and all those kind of things. I'm okay. Everything's going good. I'm on my way down. I'm going to kickstart that again. In fact, this week, going back into probably almost pure carnivore after I go out and have dinner tomorrow night. And I also saw Dr. Sivis, watch a couple of his videos, and he started doing pure carnivore, going back to pure carnivore as of the 1st of January. So it'll be interesting to see how he's doing on that. But anyway, yes, I have no doubts that was great for my body and stuff like that. But if anybody watches Dr. Sivis, I'll put his link down below. He quotes himself as a carb addiction doctor. And I learned a lot about my body, and I'll try to pass that on to you. I just have to watch what I say, because I am not a doctor, but I promise you I'll give you an update. Now, I'm going to look at this really quick. Bad Karma wrote, and I'm going to end with this one, because I think this is funny. I got to take my glasses off now. I think this is kind of funny, because I just did, if you haven't seen it, I just did a whole, my yearly series on home maintenance. And I do indoor maintenance and outdoor maintenance. If you haven't seen these things are great. I take one day off a year, and I go through all these maintenance things in the house. And I'll tell you what, when I get done with those things, I feel really good, because you don't walk around the house anymore going, oh, I should have done this, or I should have done that. Just take a day, do it, get it over with. But he wrote, Bad Karma wrote, why do people call it a hot water heater? And I referred to, and this is parts of the video I had there from a couple years ago, I referred to the water heater outside as a hot water heater. I have no idea why I say that, but you can see I corrected it partway through. I think you can tell I'm smiling. I think it's funny. He's right. It's not a hot water heater. But when I went up to Philly, I did go walked around and asked a few people. I said, "What do you call that thing that's down in the basement that makes your water, get hot or whatever?" And they say the hot water heater. And I go, "Yeah. See, I'm not the only one that says that." So I don't know why it's not a hot water heater. It's a because the water is not hot, that it's heating. So it's not heating hot water. And I totally get it. I'll try to correct myself on that. Anyway, I found that really funny. That's it. I'm going to call it quits because the light's starting to go down. I have got 4.5 more hours until I get to the villages. I'm really psyched. Haven't been down there a whole lot. I've been up north taking care of a lot of things. And thank you so much for watching, so much for subscribing. Take a look at those videos I talked about because they are... they're kind of important things. You know, the bonds and taxes, you really should understand that. The maintenance, the home maintenance things. And the other one, I had a few people write to me about home inspections. If you've just purchased a new home, watch the video, and I'll put all these links down below on why you should have a home inspection at the end of 1 year versus at the beginning if you're buying a new home from the villages, at least my philosophy on that. I'll put those links to everything down below. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I promise you I will give an update on the whole Carnivore thing. I have nothing to say but good things about it. Spoiler alert, that type of thing. And learned a lot about myself. And when I get back into Dr. Sivas, I will tell you about that. Also, Ernie Pickleball Machine, I'm going to have some of those videos coming up. I thought I tore my rotator cuff, but it's starting to get better. I actually have a tournament this Tuesday, so I'm going to get back into that. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I will either see you down in the villages, stop by and say hello, or I will see you back here on YouTube. Thanks a lot for your comments, and thank you so much for subscribing and liking. That always helps. You have a wonderful day, and I'll see you back down there in 4 hours and 25 minutes.